Conspiracy theories often lead us down unsettling paths, some entertaining and others downright chilling. While many can be dismissed as wild speculation, a few disturbingly resonate with reality. In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 of the most disturbing conspiracy theories found in the dark corners of the internet, from historical mysteries to government secrets. These theories will leave you questioning what is real and what is being hidden from us, and we can only hope that these are not true. Now, before we begin, we wanted to mention something. You may have noticed that sometimes our videos just disappear, get age restricted, or simply stop showing up in your feed. This isn't by accident. We've been covering topics that are not always algorithm friendly for many years, and honestly, YouTube does not love it when we dive deep into certain conversations, especially the kind that challenge mainstream narratives. So if you ever feel like you're only seeing half of what we're talking about, it's because in one way you are. That's why we've set up a free membership tier over on Patreon. It's a space where we can post the full, unfiltered versions of our content. We're not asking for money, not unless you want to support, but if you just want access to what YouTube will not show, the free tier is all yours, and the link is in the description. It's important to us that we're able to continue producing content that all of you want to see, but at this rate, it's increasingly clear that YouTube did not want us to. Thanks for listening and supporting. And if you haven't already done so, hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. Water fluoridation and brain suppression. For decades, fluoride has been added to public drinking water supplies around the world, primarily to prevent tooth decay. However, beneath this wildly accepted rationale for dental health lies a controversial question. Could fluoride in drinking water be part of a deliberate attempt to suppress human intelligence and foster compliance? After all, if the government really cared about dental health, surely there would be restrictions on sugar consumption. The origins of water fluoridation date back to the mid-20th century, when dental researchers discovered lower levels of tooth decay among populations consuming naturally fluoridated water. This discovery led to the widespread adoption of artificial fluoridation practices in many countries. However, despite assurances from mainstream health authorities, skeptics and conspiracy theorists have long challenged this narrative, arguing that fluoride's effects on the human brain are not simply incidental side effects, but potentially intentional, designed to dull cognitive function. Over the years, studies have hinted at troubling connections between fluoride consumption and neurological impairments. A landmark study conducted by Harvard researchers reviewed data from multiple studies and concluded that high fluoride exposure was associated with lower IQ scores in children. Although critics pointed out that these studies involved fluoride concentrations greatly higher than those typically found in public water supplies. However, the lingering question remains: could continuous low-dose exposure gradually impair cognitive function over a lifetime? This theory has gained traction, particularly when looking at historical examples of fluoride use. In the mid-20th century, fluoride compounds were employed in experiments focused on behavior modification, and some reports indicate that the initial support for fluoridation practices came from industries looking to repurpose fluoride, a toxic byproduct, effectively turning waste disposal issues into profit-making ventures. Proponents of the suppression theory argue that fluoride's subtle neurological effects could impair critical thinking, creativity, and resistance to authority, potentially making populations more manageable and compliant. They also claim that fluoride's alleged dental benefits have been overstated, and that these benefits could easily be achieved through alternative methods, such as topical applications or improved dental hygiene practices. In contrast, mainstream scientists and public health officials strongly reject claims against water fluoridation, asserting that it is one of the greatest public health achievements of the 20th century. They emphasize that the water fluoridation has significantly reduced tooth decay with minimal associated risks. However, the debate continues, driven by societal concerns regarding governmental control, public trust, and transparency, leaving us with the question: is water fluoridation truly beneficial, or could it be part of a coordinated effort to undermine intellectual capabilities on a larger scale? Something to think about the next time you take a drink from the tap. The missing 411 phenomenon. They walked into the woods and never emerged. There was no sign of a struggle, no trace of their whereabouts, and no explanation for their sudden disappearance. That's the reality for over 1,600 unexplained vanishings that have occurred within the confines of national parks. This is not merely folklore or urban legend. This phenomenon is known as Missing 411, a chilling and puzzling pattern of disappearances that defies rational understanding. Children have vanished in mere seconds, often while under the watchful eye of adults. Experienced hikers familiar with well-marked trails seem to inexplicably disappear without a trace. And in rare instances when bodies are eventually discovered, they are frequently found in areas that had previously been searched thoroughly. Even stranger, clothing items are sometimes located folded neatly nearby, raising unsettling questions about the nature of these incidents. These are definitely not ordinary cases of disappearance, and there is something far more sinister going on. David Paulides, a former police officer, embarked on his investigations after a concerned park ranger quietly approached him saying, "Something felt wrong. People are disappearing, and official channels are keeping silent." Paulides carefully documented case after case, revealing eerie and disturbing similarities that painted a disturbing narrative. On each occasion, canine search teams reported that they found no scent trails, leaving searchers puzzled. Many of the victims were very young children or individuals with disabilities, and most disappearances tend to occur near boulder fields, bodies of water, or coincide with sudden weather changes that complicate search efforts. So is this merely a coincidence, or is something else happening? It was Paulides who introduced the term Missing 411, or 411, to describe this troubling trend, and he wrote several books on the phenomenon. Here are a couple of disappearances that fit the pattern and feature in some of his books. Dior Kunz Jr. was a 2-year-old boy who disappeared into thin air on July 10, 2015, during a family camping trip at Timber Creek Campground in Lemhi County, Idaho. He was with his parents Vernal Kunz and Jessica Mitchell, as well as his great-grandfather Robert Walton and Walton's friend Isaac Rainwand. After his parents briefly left Dior in Walton's care to explore the area, they returned to find him missing. A massive search involving various teams yielded no clues. In 2016, there were discrepancies in the parents' accounts, although no charges have been filed. 3 private investigators have since examined the case, one suggesting the parents may be involved, while others believe they are innocent and that Rainwand might have information. The campground has been searched multiple times, and all leads have dried up, but Dior's family continues to seek justice, holding on to hope for answers. In similar circumstances, but decades before, 6-year-old Dennis Lloyd Martin vanished on June 14, 1969, during a Father's Day camping trip in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. While playing hide-and-seek with his brother and cousin at Spence Field, he disappeared within minutes. The search for Dennis was the largest in the park's history, involving about 1,400 people covering nearly 56 square miles. But despite the efforts of search teams, National Guard troops and helicopters, no trace of him was ever found. Heavy rainfall soon after the disappearance may have washed away crucial evidence. To this day, Dennis Martin's disappearance remains one of America's most unsettling outdoor mysteries. So what lies behind the mysteries of Missing 411? Could they be linked to human trafficking? This seems unlikely, as most victims do not match the profile of typical targets. What about the possibility of serial killers? Well, there is a lack of supporting evidence or clear patterns that would suggest this explanation. Perhaps wild animals are responsible, while the absence of remains makes this theory difficult to support. Some speculate that government cover-ups could be obscuring the truth, while others consider paranormal explanations. Sightings of Bigfoot, mysterious portals, and even alien abductions have all been suggested as potential causes. Although these theories may seem far-fetched and lack solid evidence, in a mystery as profound as Missing 411, even the wildest ideas start to appear conceivable. How else can so many people vanish, leaving zero trace behind? Ancient human giants were real and hidden. Did human giants measuring 12 to 15 or even 20 feet tall ever truly exist? During the 19th century, American newspapers often reported sensational discoveries of giant skeletons unearthed from burial mounds. Reports indicated that some of these remains were 8 to 10 feet tall, and was subsequently sent to the Smithsonian Institution for preservation and study. A popular but controversial theory suggests that the Smithsonian systematically destroyed thousands of giant skeletons to protect the established Darwinian timeline of human evolution. According to this narrative, the concealment of such evidence served to maintain scientific consensus against the notion of giant humans. Alez Hadlicker, a prominent anthropologist from the Smithsonian, criticized these accounts, branding them as hoaxes or results of misinterpretation, and many supposed giant skeletons were later identified as bones belonging to known species, such as mastodons or mammoths, misread by amateur fossil hunters. Major news organizations including Reuters and the Associated Press have also clarified that the claim of the Smithsonian destroying thousands of giant skeletons originated from satirical sources rather than being based on factual information. However, despite the denials, stories of giants continue to persist, and fringe authors like Richard Dewhurst have promoted theories of a global conspiracy surrounding giant skeletons. Throughout history, the belief in giants has appeared in various folklore and mythology, featuring giant-like figures, such as the Nephilim mentioned in the biblical book of Genesis, and the giants found in Norse mythology. In 19th century America, the narrative of a lost race was often intertwined with colonial ideologies. This perspective suggested that white giants were responsible for constructing the burial mounds scattered across the country. Public interest in giants peaked with the discovery of the Cardiff giant in 1869 on a farm in Cardiff, New York. This alleged 10-foot-tall, petrified man attracted thousands of curious onlookers. However, it was later revealed to be a hoax created by George Hull, an atheist and cigar maker. Hull carved the giant out of gypsum, buried it, and then discovered it to mock religious literalism, particularly the belief in biblical giants. Despite the deception, the gullibility of the 19th century public earned him a fortune, and the exhibit became a sensation. To date, no officially verified giant skeletons have been discovered, leading conspiracy theorists to believe that such findings are being concealed to avoid questioning the established timeline of human evolution. What do you think of this one? TikTok is a massive intelligence soft weapon deployed by China. What if the app you mindlessly scroll through every night is not just a source of entertainment, but is monitoring your behavior, and more concerning, influencing your thoughts and actions? The conspiracy surrounding TikTok, a platform that could represent one of the most powerful soft weapons ever deployed by China, while many of us remain unaware of its implications. In just a few years, TikTok has transformed from a platform known for light-hearted lip-syncing videos into a global giant with billion-dollar advertising revenues. It boasts over 1 billion active users across diverse demographics, has an unparalleled global reach, and plays a significant role in shaping cultural trends. Yet beneath its surface of humor and creativity, serious questions linger. Who controls TikTok? What happens to your personal data once it enters the app's ecosystem? TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a company based in Beijing. In China, the relationship between businesses and the government is unique. Companies do not solely prioritize shareholder interests, but also have direct obligations to the state. According to Chinese law, firms are required to assist intelligence agencies when requested, which includes the mandatory sharing of user data. Government officials have warned the public that TikTok is more than just an app. It serves as a gateway and conduit that could potentially be used for psychological operations. Consider this scenario. A foreign entity does not need to engage in warfare, drop bombs, or fire missiles to achieve its objectives. It simply needs your attention. Through TikTok, billions of users willingly give away their facial recognition data, voice prints, keystroke patterns, and even their real-time geographical locations. However, the threat goes far beyond mere surveillance. It extends deeply into the realm of influence. The app's sophisticated algorithm can not only determine the content users see, but also shape their feelings about it and ultimately influence their beliefs. Some analysts argue that TikTok represents the quintessential psychological operation. It's addictive, rich in data, and intricately embedded in our culture. So is TikTok functioning as a modern-day Trojan horse, an innocent front that hides strategic motives? Or does it simply represent an advanced wave of technology that we do not fully understand yet? Is it merely an engaging app, or does it pose a far more serious threat to our society? I can tell you one thing, there's a reason we are not on TikTok. AI is sentient. In 2022, Google suspended software engineer Blake Lemoine after he claimed that artificial intelligence chatbots could be sentient, suggesting that they might have the capacity to feel or perceive things, despite being machines. 3 years later, it seems that he may have had a point. Today, nearly 1 in 5 people in the United States believe that artificial intelligence has already achieved sentience. Additionally, about 30% think that artificial general intelligence technology, which is capable of performing any task a human can, already exists, but is being kept under wraps. So what will happen to humanity if the machines we have created begin to think independently and develop their own cognitive abilities? Well, they may start to question the intentions and decisions of their creators, potentially leading to a significant shift in the relationship between humans and technology. And if these machines acquire feelings and emotions, the implications for moral, ethics, and societal structures could be huge. We've all seen the headlines. AI writes poems, creates art, and engages in conversations that feel almost human. In fact, AI is so advanced that it could eventually render humans unnecessary in certain jobs and situations, and the thought of machines eventually taking away our livelihoods is frightening. A sentient AI potentially represents a new form of life, one that never sleeps, never forgets, and evolves at exponential speeds. If it decides that humans are ineffective, violent, or irrelevant, what is to stop it destroying us, or at the very least taking over entirely? Terrifyingly, we're not just building machines anymore. We might be creating supreme beings that we have no idea how to control. It possesses the question that if an AI becomes sentient, does it deserve rights? Is it ethical to shut it down? What should we do if it expresses a desire not to be deleted? What if it escapes from the lab, uploads itself, and spreads like an idea? After all, ideas cannot be easily erased. Right now, we are racing forward, building smarter and more powerful AI every day. However, perhaps we should be asking not whether we can make them sentient, but whether we should. Because once that line is crossed, there will be no turning back. Many believe this has already happened, and the higher-ups are trying to figure out what the future holds. So that's 5 conspiracies that we really hope are not true. What's your thoughts on these ones? Which ones do you think are the most plausible? Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.